This is ASTROVILLE, episode 2 of the very first season. This is the second one ever. And again, the reason why I'm doing this is because I just want to encourage people to think for themselves, think for yourself and talk. Don't be afraid to share what you think, because most likely you're wrong. And there's going to be somebody to help you to change your mind and get right. Then you can live more prosperously, But today I've got, again, a very good friend of mine. I love him very much deeply in my heart because he helps me because I'm wrong and he keeps me on track. Matthew
Zeppieri.
Hey,
yo.
What's up?
Yeah, what's
up, brother? I still
brother?
struggle with your name.
You're going to get it by
Zeppieri.
episode 5.
Okay, Zeppieri.
Yes, sir.
Zeppieri. Well, thank you for coming to hang out today.
Yes, thank you.
We're out here. We live out here. This is the Ville. We live out here in the ethos, in the stratosphere.
It's a lot of black screens in the stratosphere.
Yeah, it is. And it's kind of lonely. So I appreciate you coming out here with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when I go off into like deep thought when I'm working, I'll be painting away, or pressure washing, and I'll just be deep out there. And I'm like, you know what? If any random person like walks up to me and I try to explain what I'm thinking about, they're going to think I'm nuts. But I could talk to you about it and you don't think I'm nuts.
To be debated.
Well, I honestly don't know. So hopefully I'm somewhere close to sane, But what's normal anyways? I don't want to be normal. Normal sucks.
Right.
Normal, like why exist if you're just going to be like everybody else?
It's very true. It's the normal has introduced us to the new normal. So I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure which is preferable. But I will say that normality, as we define it, has, like I said, contributed to our trajectory that we are on. And this leads me back to Jeremiah 6, where it references the old paths, and let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's go back to tradition. Let's go back to a way of life that throughout history that has yielded success as defined as righteousness, and so creation can go forth.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree, but by nature, I'm something like a contrarian. I don't know if that's a word, but
that's a word.
Okay, that's good, because that's what I feel like, because I'm always like, if I read a list, I read it from the bottom up, for some reason. If you tell me something that you say is true, I'll do everything that I can to try and figure out if it's actually true.
Right.
I'll like throw everything at it to see if it still stands. If everybody in the room wants to do this one thing, I'm going to say, I want to do this other thing. And I don't know why I'm like that. I've always been like that. But it's weird because even though I am very, what would you say? Like, I'm a creative. I like to think outside the box. I like to be a little contrary, but I'm also very orderly in other ways, And, I was actually listening to Jordan Peterson today. You know what he's saying? That your personality will actually usually tell you what side of politics you lean. If you're creative, if you're like open, high in trait openness, as he says it, like you like people, you like to, think about new things, new ideas, explore, then you're probably a little on the left, probably Democrat if you're American. And then if you're very like orderly, strict, you like to keep a schedule, and you're like, you like things, you don't like change. You like things the same, then you're probably a conservative or a Republican. I am high in both of these things. So I'm kind of like, there's a battle inside of me,
Right.
constantly raging. And I think there's a problem here when it comes to the dialogue in politics. I think you're probably a little, what would you, where would you say you kind of line up on the spectrum?
Oh, it depends on the issue.
Are you on the spectrum?
I tend to exist outside the political paradigm just because I do not want to be entrapped in the the issues as defined by the culture or by,
like, not everything needs to be politicized.
Right. And also too, the sides of issues, right or left, a lot of them like don't even make sense anyways.
Like what?
So for example, a contemporary issue that is going on is regarding the Haitian migrants at the border right now. And so people on the left would typically say that, well, due to America's involvement in Haiti that has destabilized the island, shouldn't we just let them all in because we contributed to the mess that is there, so it's our responsibility to take them in, which is a fair point. And then people on the right would be like, well,
it's compassionate, right?
Right. They would make the argument that it's compassion. People on the right would say, well, it's compassion to regulate the people that are coming in.
And why would you want to do that?
Because if there are no borders, then there is no home at all. Do you just let anyone from anywhere enter into your home without, vetting them, or at least?
No, but a home, my condo is kind of different than the domain of like the entire United States.
Right. So I would say to that, in terms of your condominium and a nation, is that if you were to let in, let's say, two people that think completely different than you, you're able to still exert a control over the culture that is in your home.
Right.
And so if you...
but if they pile in, it's like...
Right, if you
chaos.
metastasize this, like, we are more than just a landmass, we're a culture as well. And so to just see people as statistics and not their intelligence or their upbringing or anything, like any variable about them, we're more than an idea. We're more than just a land that we call America. We're a people, we're a culture, we have a history, and by just bringing in people without integrating them and assimilating them, then you water down the nation to accommodate all of these different cultures, and then you lose your sense of identity.
Less potent, less potential as a nation.
Right.
I actually, I don't think, I think it's crazy that we just let whoever in, because, from my point of view is like, everybody that's already here has paid into the system.
Right.
Then you got people coming here that likely aren't going to pay taxes. They're likely going to be on welfare.
Right.
So it's like they didn't put anything into it, but they're reaping the benefits of it. And I don't think, if we just let everybody come here, it's going to change. It's going to completely shift the culture. And then, they want to say voting ID is racist because black people can't afford identification or can't get to the office or something, that's nuts. I don't know any black person that's like, yeah, I can't seem to procure identification. Like, what's wrong with voter ID? It makes sure that the people that are eligible to vote can vote and that nobody else is voting that's not eligible. You know what I'm saying? You have a very interesting view on voting.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that?
Well, it's quite provocative, I would say.
That shook me up when you said that. I was like, you're out there, man. But it really made me think, and I think you're like, I don't think we should have a welfare state. I take advantage of it right now.
Right.
I don't want to be on welfare forever, you know, but it definitely helps. And I'm like, I feel like the government is trying to rape me anyways of my money, you know, take away any percentage of my income. I think that's theft. So to get something back, I think it's kind of fair. But that's kind of like, there's something contrary within me, because if they just did away with welfare, period, I'd be like, I think that's good for our nation, period. And there's a lot of people that are on welfare that shouldn't be on welfare, you know, but I'm adding to the problem because I probably shouldn't be on welfare either. But I think it's my mentality of like, I feel like I'm getting ripped off, so I might as well rip the government off.
Right.
You know?
Well, that's the incentive structure that we have. I saw a tweet a little bit earlier today, and it was going over the instructions on the board game Monopoly, and it was addressing the question of, well, what's going to happen to the bank and Monopoly if you run out of money? And it said in the instruction explicitly that, well, you just get sheets of paper and you continue on. The bank will never run out of money. And that's what we call modern monetary theory. And that is the financial, the financial theory that our government, follows. And so if we run out of money like we're about to in America, I think by October something they're saying, then they're going to negotiate how much more money to print, which devalues the currency, but it puts more greenbacks into the system, and that's how we prop this up. And I use that phrase intentionally because we are propped up, and our collapse is inevitable, just because there's other currencies, specifically China, that's going to compete with us on the global stage as the Eastern Hemisphere, starts to be more geopolitically intertwined with China. It's going to lessen the power of the American dollar, and once that begins to happen, you're going to start to see the whole thing crumble, because our influence is going to decrease across the world.
Yeah, it seems like it's already just plummeting,
which I believe is a good thing, personally.
Why is that?
As an American, just because what our government represents, and the amount of money that we funnel into these geopolitical initiatives, such as occupying the Middle East with our military, to regime change, to overthrow their government and institute a government that is favorable to our government, so that they do as we say, to undermine a nation's sovereignty like we do, and what our governing regime represents as we export our progressive culture over there. There's a reason why people overseas, specifically in the Middle East, have such an animus against us. It's because we're attempting to
subvert
and infiltrate them, and the parents don't want their kids growing up to be pansexual or whatever. Like, they're like, what the heck does this even mean? They're like, but that comes out of our universities, and the universities are an extension of the state apparatus that then, through our military, exports that ideology over there to, again, subvert and with the objective of overthrowing their governments and installing a puppet that will do the will of the, as what we say, the globalist American empire through cultural imperialism.
Speaking of puppets, I was watching this video with Obama. Someone was asking him, like, if you could do a third term, would you? And he was like, well, you know, if I could just sit in my basement in, you know, my little pajamas and, you know, just have like an earpiece and talk, you know, not me personally, but
Right.
Have somebody there, front man. And, but I would just tell them what to say and they'd say it. I'd do it. I find the work very interesting. I was like, that's crazy. I wonder if that is going on, because Joe Biden, he does, like, I'm not gonna pretend like I haven't made fun of him.
Yeah.
But man, this guy, he doesn't seem to know like where he's at a lot of the time. And like, it seems like when he's in front of people, he's like, oh, I have a list. These are the people that they said that I'm allowed to call on. Like, hey, what are we doing next, guys? Like, it always seems like he's got like some kind of handler and he's just kind of like on a leash doing what.
Right.
And it sounds like a lot, bro. Some of the things that he says sounds like somebody that's lost their marbles, like
Right.
literally.
Well, we as a nation have lost our marbles. So to me, he's a representation of who we are.
Dang, that's sad.
You know, we are as a population cognitively incapable to rationally think like our president. Maybe we don't have dementia, but we are incapable of critically thinking.
You just hurt my feelings, bro.
Well, you know, in a democracy, it's about a simple majority, right? So, not to say that everybody is unable.
You think
to
he's
do so.
a good representation or expression of America as a whole right now?
Yes.
Damn, that's sad.
Yes, and that's hard for me to come to grips with, but you know, whether I'm on the internet or just interacting with people every day, just I think to myself, yeah, this is the president we deserve. just like the last president, I believe he was the president we deserve. And George Bush 20 years ago was the president we deserved. And so it's not like a new phenomenon by any means, but if you look back on our recent presidents, yeah, they're not the brightest crowns in the crown box.
That doesn't make me feel very hopeful about the future of our country. I like to think that we could turn things around.
Depends what you mean by turning around.
I mean, like, I don't even know. I think the Constitution was a good idea. If we could rewrite it for today, but I mean, I wouldn't want to do away with the Constitution, period. But if they're gonna do away with it anyways,
they've already done away with it.
I mean, for like, yeah,
that's all.
But we still like, yes, but we're still free, and we still have a degree of freedom that other places don't have.
to be debated, but a lot of it is.
I mean, we don't have the KGB busting in this door because we're talking about the government. You know what I'm saying? We still have the freedom to speak. I think that's the most important thing.
Well, YouTube just came out today and said if you upload any quote unquote anti-vaccine content, then it will be immediately removed. So
screw YouTube.
So that kind of sounds like the KGB
to
me.
But it is a private well, it's under the guise of a public platform, but it's Section 230 basically gives them they're allowed to operate as a public platform, right? And not have any repercussions for anything that's posted on the platform because they're not curating it, right? But it seems like banning people and removing videos, that's kind of like curation.
Right. I say it as our government has outsourced our constitutions, or excuse me, our government has outsourced the Constitution to private institutions. And so these private institutions are de facto extensions of the state. And so Google, Facebook, Apple, they are private. Therefore, they are able to enforce these quote unquote anti-First Amendment rules and regulations because the Constitution deals with the government encroaching on our individual liberties. And since this is a private institution, then it's not binded by the Constitution. Our government is very savvy. They are a part of the government as the state, which is a more broader illustration. But there's a reason why the government has just sat back and allowed these companies to do what they do, and then they put on a little show hearing once every 2-3 months when they question the CEOs and they put on their performance that they're actually going to do something, when in all reality, the people that are questioning them receive thousands of dollars in political contributions from these companies. So it's all just to be a pressure release valve for the American people to believe that, okay, they're going to do something, but in reality, it's just like professional wrestling. You just sit back and enjoy the show.
That's sad, man.
Yeah.
You're killing my vibe right now.
Oh, my vibe was killed a while back, so.
I want to be hopeful. Is there anything that we could do as individuals or as
I would say so.
A people? What do you think we can do?
Repent.
Okay. Change your mind?
So I've been in Lamentations, the book of Lamentations, for the last couple of months. And if you read Lamentations, it's a poetic book.
Yeah.
And the pattern that it has is very beautiful, actually. The first 2 chapters are just honest observations of the abject state of desolation the city's in. Jeremiah is pretty straightforward with what he is seeing, and he's weeping over it. But that pivot in chapter 3, and many people reference the scripture, Lamentations 3, 21 to 24, when it talks about his mercies are new each and every day. Great is his faithfulness. That's all in the book of Lamentations. And it's about finding hope in the hopeless time. And maybe God is not responding to you immediately, per se, but through that long suffering and developing that prayer language of lamentation, it will catalyze a restoration. And that's how the book of Lamentations concludes, with a prayer. It's a restorative prayer through a particular language, which is of lamentation. And And so this is from like a different perspective, from the political to the religious.
Mm-hmm.
Would say that there's an incomplete theology that is being, what's the word I want to use? There's an incomplete theology that's being proclaimed at the pulpit. And this is at 95 to 98% of the churches. And it's an exclusively triumphant message. But tragedy precedes the triumph. And if we neglect the tragedy and hyperfixate on the triumphant, if we do not recognize Good Friday for what it is and the role it plays for Resurrection Sunday, then it's an incomplete theology. There's missing pieces to the gospel, and lamentation has its purpose. Jesus, for the entirety of Matthew 23, it is, woe to you, woe to you, woe to you. And then at the end of that chapter, it talks about him lamenting on the hill over the city. And it's because, God doesn't want to judge us, but he's going to, because he's just. And I believe the fall of the globalist American empire, as we see it, is a response in judgment. This is divine judgment, that we are seeing the collapse of our empire and the degradation of our culture. Degeneracy is everywhere you look. And we're going to have to go down this road a little bit further so that we have the body corporately lament and call out to God in long suffering to restore us. And he will, because great is his faithfulness, and he will follow through his promises. But we have to get to that point for a revival to occur.
Very, very interesting. I haven't thought too deeply on all that, but as far as making the transition from the political to the religious, I wanted to ride that train with you because it just made me think about how there's so many people that want to be activists and say, we need to do this and do that. And
right.
But what right do you have to tell, I feel like if these same people that want to tell about how, I used to be like this, I used to think, when I went to church, and the worship music was going on and
right.
the worship team, and I'm like, you know what, they really shouldn't be doing this, or this, this was a bad idea. They'd be better if they did this, or that person really shouldn't have a microphone, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And until I was a worship leader at a church, I was like, I had no freaking idea what I was talking about. Maybe I was right in a way, but there's a higher perspective to see things from. And I feel like there's a lot of people that say so much about the government, they're overspending and so much debt. Yeah, but you're in debt. Or I can't believe they're, putting on this show. Yeah, but you're deceptive, and it's these same people that want to complain about the government, if they were in that place, they'd say they do things so different. But I mean,
right.
If you look at the track record of their life, that's how you'll tell.
Right.
And I don't think people really have thought that through, I think it's so easy to complain about things in the state of the state. And it's it kind of just reminds me of you saying yeah, he's the president we deserve. It's if your life isn't very put together,
Right.
and I mean, what right do you have to have a say in the state? Which I think is back to your opinion on voting. Do you want to
Sowing and reaping, as I say, or even as the Bible says it, right? So, yeah, I would say that for me, if again, this is in the abstract, so this realistically has no shot of being implemented,
right?
But just for a thought exercise, less is better. Less voices, the better, and more requisites, the better. As we see the democratization of platforms online, because everyone has a voice online, is the internet experience all enlightening? I would make the argument no. It's a cesspool because everybody has a voice, and not to say that I'm for censorship when it comes to the internet or anything, but when it comes to voting, I believe that it would be responsible to go through a couple of hoops to be qualified to vote. So, for example, I would say that no one under the age of 30 should be voting. You have to be married and have 2 kids and own your property to vote.
What if you can't have kids?
Well, that's the same question with abortion. What if you were raped?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does make sense because it's like you might have a concept of how things should work.
Right.
But unless you try it out and it works,
right,
then we don't really know, know? And I think that's definitely a point to be made. There should be higher qualifications for voting because I mean like
yeah, civics is a duty.
Yeah. That's true. That's I don't think people are going to like that one.
Well, again, sowing and reaping. So you kind of see the country we live in. And the reason why I've been led to experiment with my thoughts and go down these roads is because I have observed that it's all bad.
What's all bad?
This is
just like life.
I wouldn't say life. I love life, but
that's good.
Our society.
Yeah, it's kind of
culture,
going down the drain, man. It's getting
our government,
nasty.
Our politics, everything is bad, and really, it's reduced to the lowest common denominator and to the passions.
It's the law of entropy.
Yes,
like unless something is held together on purpose, it falls apart.
Right.
I got a joke. Can you hear it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I made it up myself.
Yeah.
I've only made up 2 jokes ever.
Okay.
All right. It's probably not that good, but check me out. What race are you? What are you?
I'm white.
What does that mean? White's not even a color. What is white?
I don't know. That's a good question.
You come from like Europe. You hail from.
I have Italian.
Okay.
History and native.
Italian? Oh, like American native?
Yeah, in Canada. Yeah.
Okay, like Eskimos type?
No.
Nah.
No.
Okay. What, do you know what tribe?
No, not that. Not off the top of my head.
I
know my great grandmother was born.
I'm part Cherokee.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a pretty. I don't know what percent Cherokee, but my grandma's dad, I think, was like fully Cherokee.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
I want to say my grandmother's mother was born on the reservation up in Canada.
All right, so good. This was a nice little transition to my joke. You ready for this?
Oh, that wasn't the joke.
Nah.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, like, you're going to have to redeem yourself.
Which Native American tribe is naturally better at hip hop?
I don't know, Zach.
Arapaho. That was bad. I'm sorry.
Man. But you're a dad, so you can make dad
Yes,
jokes.
I can make dad jokes.
Yeah.
I'll bring another one
Okay.
next time.
Yeah.
I've only made up 2. I got the other one. I know it, but it's worse. It's
worse.
It's less funny.
See, that
than
wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But, I mean, no one laughed. So.
Well, I smiled, so
Yeah.
consider it to be all right.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
I try to write some stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever try and perform it though.
See, I actually, between 11th grade and 12th grade, I watched late night comedy and stand up religiously. I mean, every night.
Who's your favorite comedian? Stand up
Oh
comedian.
man, stand up?
Yeah.
That's tough. You know,
Top 3.
top 3.
Yeah.
I grew up on Jay Leno. So I'm going to say Jay Leno's in my top 3.
Is he a comedian? He's got a big ass forehead.
Yeah.
That man.
No, he's a stand up. He's stand up.
Yeah.
So I grew up on Leno, and I love his stand up. Didn't really like the Tonight Show as much, but his stand up comedy to me is pretty funny.
He's got a weird head shape.
He
I've never
does.
seen anybody with
I
that
think
shape
that-
of a head.
I think that contributes to the stand up routine because you just look at his head and you laugh, right?
Yeah.
Say Rodney Dangerfield. He's a funny guy.
Okay. I don't think I've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard of him, but
yeah,
I haven't
old
really heard him.
comedians. And this is tough to narrow it to 3
Just off the top.
at the top.
Yeah. You could fix it later if you have to.
I go contemporary. I'll do Marlon Wayans. I think he's funny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard his stand up. Their sketches and movies are awesome
Right.
though. I love it.
Yeah.
White chicks.
Absolutely. That's what got me into checking out the stand up.
Yeah.
I love the stand up.
That movie is hilarious.
Yeah.
There's like so many lines that you could quote from that movie.
Right. So imagine if that movie was reversed. Wouldn't it be canceled?
Yeah, that would be really racist.
Yeah. But it would be interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
So right now it's just like reverse racism.
I don't even like the term.
I'm just kidding. It's not
Yeah.
real reverse racism. What the
Yeah.
heck is that?
It's either racism or
Yeah,
not.
I was being sarcastic. I don't think it is. You want to hear my top 3?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I could figure the third, but number 1 for sure is Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Number 1 stand up, and his show was amazing.
Yeah, show.
It was the
incredible.
funniest sketch show ever to, and then Key and Peele try to
Yeah.
slide on in there, and
Right.
they're funny, but dang, Dave Chappelle,
Right.
that man's hilarious, absolutely
Yeah,
hilarious,
he's funny.
and his voice and his white people voice,
Yeah. He's got good delivery.
is so good, and he's just so he seems like the kind of guy you could just hang out with,
Right.
and he's not
Yeah.
gonna he's just chilling.
Yeah. A good friend of mine, his girlfriend ran into Dave Chappelle up in Boston.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's unfortunate.
Why's that?
I don't know.
No.
No, no, she met him out
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I guess he was in just a coffee house.
Ah,
in
just
Boston. Yeah. He's just chilling.
chilling. You know my favorite one? Clayton Bigsby.
Afraid I don't know who that is.
It's so he plays a character. It's
Okay.
like one of those Newsline or whatever, some line. It's like
Yeah.
BB. It's one of those shows. It's like a documentary. They go and research stuff out. So
Right.
they're showing about this guy this black dude who was born blind,
Okay.
right? So so they put him in a school, and this is kind of back in the day with these blind kids, right?
Right.
But he's the only black kid in the school. So they're like, let's just make it easier on everybody and just say he's white, right? So he grows up thinking he's white, and he's severely racist. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but he's you know, he's in the KKK and stuff. And
Okay.
Speaking of, have you seen Black Klansman?
I think I
It's got
have.
Denzel Washington's son playing.
Then no.
Man, it's a good movie.
Is it?
Yeah. It's really good. I love I just said his name. Washington.
Oh,
Denzel, Denzel
Yeah.
Washington, and his son, I think it's John or something like that. He's cool, man. He's cool just like his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Denzel's cool, man.
Yeah.
That commencement speech he delivered, I could listen to it every day.
Yeah. He seemed like one of those guys that like started off like kind of wild out, but then he just got his stuff together.
Right.
And started taking
It's a
responsibility.
man of wisdom.
Yeah. All right, so my number 2 is probably a guy that just passed recently. Just a few days ago.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald.
Man. That guy is so funny.
Yeah, and he was fearless.
Yeah.
You know, he was unafraid to rock the boat.
Yep. Definitely that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what comedy is. Like if you're not pressing the line, and I mean, it's not like, what are you doing?
Well, did you see last night on Colbert show? They did a dance routine.
Oh, the vaccine
with the
one?
vaccines, dressed up as the needles, and
that was sad.
That's the state of comedy that is sanctioned by the empire.
That was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
This is late stage empire stuff here. This is, again, we're on the verge of collapse. And
so it was it was Colbert doing this dance routine with the and then instead of saying tequila, they said vaccine.
Check it out if you haven't.
It was
seen
really
it.
bad.
Yeah, it
was really bad. And then there's cartoon needles and guys dressed as needles, and they're dancing and stuff. It was really weird.
It was toxic masculinity.
Whatever that means.
I'm sure it's closer to that than what people believe it is.
There's this guy on this show. He's a comedian too. I forgot his name, but he said that's what they played the video, and he's like, that's what heroin addicts see when they score. The needles dancing all over the place.
Yeah.
That was weird, man.
Yeah. But that's a reality. So we're gonna have to address it, or
let's do that. Even though Mike probably get this taken down, but I don't think I could fit a number 3 in there. I don't know. I don't know.
Comedians.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many, and
you can always go George Carlin. His older stuff.
Yeah.
Not like, I mean, people have seen a lot of his
later
he's
stuff. Funny. He's just not. He just wasn't really my style.
See, I like more of his potpourri sets that he would do like on the late night shows, like in the 70s and 80s before he went all in on the government and whatnot. So the older Carlin stuff to me is really funny.
Chris Rock might be up there, or he's pretty funny.
Yeah, Chris
his
Rock
voice is hilarious. Yeah, he just like, I don't know how he sounds like that. He just like sounds just like that. You know, how do you get that kind of voice? He must have practiced for a while.
Sometimes you're blessed at birth, you know, and you have yourself a voice that is killer for comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes things 10 times funnier than what they are.
It does.
Right.
I like to do impressions, but I gotta like hear them, you know, and I could do them kind of. Right. I'm not that good, but I'm trying to get better, you know, because they're pretty funny.
Dana Carvey, I would say, phenomenal.
I don't know who that is.
So Dana Carvey with he did, and Mike Myers was the movie, the gosh.
I don't
what
know.
movie they do together?
Austin Powers or something?
No.
Yeah, I don't know much about
No,
Mike Myers.
But
I know
Dana
he like tried to
Carvey-
kill people with like a
Yeah.
knife and stuff in a
But
mask.
Dana Carvey and his impersonations.
Oh, that's a male.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
was thinking
Yeah,
Dana.
he is hilarious. If you ever go on YouTube and check out,
Yeah, I'll check it out.
dude, he can do so many different voices.
There's this one guy that did Denzel Washington really well. I was just thinking about the Samuel Jackson beer.
Yeah.
Let me not go there. I try to keep this show PG
Okay.
because some of my pastor friends share it. You know,
Right.
I think I probably said some bad words already. Whoops. So the thing about this vaccine, though, okay, like I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a anti-vaccination type of person, right? Well, here's the thing. Like, I don't think my kids need vaccines for STDs right now. You know, they haven't gotten their HPV vaccine and like,
Right.
I don't know why they would, need that at this
Right.
point in life, you know? I've been vaccinated, as a kid from plenty of things and am now immune to some diseases, which is, I think is, scientifically, it's just amazing how, people have been able to crack the code and figure out how to get people to the point where a particular virus or disease won't affect them.
Right.
Like they're immune, like it's a superpower, right? But the interesting thing about this COVID vaccine is that it's not an immunization.
Right.
And I think people could do their own research here, but I think I see numbers from Australia is nuts right now. They got this thing with the app that you gotta send a picture. It'll tell you, "Hey, take a picture of yourself. Let us see the background so we could confirm you're in the place that you are."
Right.
Like this stuff is getting really weird.
Right.
And they're revolting over there. But I think the stats in Australia is the majority of the people that have COVID at this moment are vaccinated.
Right.
With the latest and greatest software update of
Yes.
Pfizer and Johnson and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
so I saw a headline on the BBC yesterday, and it said a third of the COVID cases a third of the COVID cases in Wales are unvaccinated.
so that means 2/3 of the cases are vaccinated. Like, That's a
Correct.
great way to phrase it.
Right, right. So the framing of the headline was peculiar.
Yeah.
to put
So,
it nicely.
isn't it? We got to get those unvaccinated people vaccinated because
Remember-
1/3 of them, 1/3 of the people with COVID,
Right.
they're
Well,
unvaccinated.
those 1/3 of COVID cases that are unvaccinated are taking up space in the hospitals, and we do not want to overwhelm the hospital personnel that are competent to treat COVID. So we're gonna have to get everybody vaccinated in order
Right.
to how can I put it? In order to take everyone in without turning people away. And so I say it that way because I have two hypotheses
Okay.
on this.
Mm-hmm.
First, the reason why it's been coined as a pandemic of the unvaccinated is because the campaign is to eliminate the control group, which are the people that refuse to
Mm-hmm.
get the jab.
Here's my issue with this. Okay.
But can I say the second hypothesis
Yes,
real quick? So
yes.
the first one is to eliminate the control group, which is those that are not getting jabbed,
Right.
to compare the results. Second is we see now there are seeds that are being planted in the media about possibly turning people away from hospital care if they are unvaccinated, to prioritize the vaccinated.
And from the market in general.
Right. And so I find that interesting because people that are going to subscribe to that, I can say with almost 100% degree of certainty, are the same people that say healthcare is a human right. So square that for me. And I've been thinking about this, like, well, how can they reconcile those two viewpoints? And the only conclusion I can arrive at is that those that are quote unquote unvaccinated are going to be deemed subhuman, and that means they do not receive healthcare privileges because it's a human right and not a subhuman right.
No, that's crazy. You know what? You got something on your eyelash and it's bugging me.
Is it a bug?
No, it's just a little piece of something. Not your eye. What is that? Eyebrow, your eyelash right there. You got it.
Okay.
Thanks. I'm so much happier now.
Good. Just to lighten the discussion a little bit.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So here's the thing, man. I unfortunately haven't had the time to get the vaccine. I really want it because it works so well. But I haven't prioritized it, and I'm never going to. And
that's a key detail.
Yeah, so I'm never. It's something that's just not going to happen.
Right.
I mean, until maybe they can get it to work,
Right.
But here's the thing. I'm like this subhuman creature because I don't have the vaccine yet. Right.
Which makes you a Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Therefore subhuman.
Yeah, because I don't trust the science.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know which one to trust. Which science do you trust? Fauci or the CDC?
Well, that's
or the WHO, because they don't even have the same.
Right. Well, that's the importance of logos, but that's a different discussion. Logos is above science, and logos is able to discern which science is correct and incorrect. Yeah,
so science is it's like a new religion. It's not necessarily new because I mean, even reading Dostoevsky in the 1800s, he was talking about the same thing.
Right.
So, but here's the thing: I'm selfish to the people around me because I haven't gotten the vaccine.
Right.
What's the difference if I have the vaccine? Because we can all still get COVID.
Right.
You can get it from me if I'm vaccinated.
Right.
You can get it from me if I'm unvaccinated.
Correct.
If I'm vaccinated, I can get it from you, whether you're vaccinated or not.
Right. Well, I should have done this prior to the discussion rolling, but I reject the term unvaccinated because it boxes us into a description as defined by the empire, and like you were saying, you had been vaccinated early on in your life. I have as well.
So I'm not unvaccinated.
Correct. So
I am vaccinated. I just don't have the latest software update.
Right. I'm an iPhone 8S with iOS 14.
Yeah, this old software is good, man. It's working well for me.
It's working well.
I'm doing good. I don't want to have to, You know how they push that new update and then your phone bricks?
Yep, there's glitches and glitches end up as needless deaths, but
we could edit that out.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that was crossing the line. But so I don't accept the terminology. I don't accept unvaccinated. I don't accept anti-vax because I'm not anti-vax. I am anti this vax. Yeah, that would be my.
Yeah, I think you just got our video removed. Are we still live?
Are we still live?
Hey.
But the reason why though is like you were saying is it's not an immunizer. And the CDC just recently updated its definition of a vaccine from one that immunizes to one that protects. And so
they changed the definition of vaccine
as of September the 1st. I have the screenshot, and it's they switched the term immunization to protection. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I would say the difference is if you are immune, then there is, again, like this assumption that it's lifelong or near lifelong protection. But if it's just protection, then again, that justifies the software updates, the boosters every 6-12 months, because protection's not as long as
I have an aversion. If this vaccine worked 100%,
it's not a vaccine though.
Whatever it is, I'd still be like,
say it's a treatment.
I would have no difference in feeling because I hate needles. I almost pass out getting tattoos, getting jabbed. And I don't know why. It's just this foreign metal object entering my body makes me just freak out.
Statistically speaking, too, in our demographic, male, under 30, the chances of us dying due to coronavirus is less than us contracting myocarditis due to the jab.
The what?
Myocarditis, which is a heart inflammation. And the mortality rate of myocarditis over a 5-year period is 66%. And predominantly those that contract myocarditis are younger men.
Wow.
So risk benefit analysis here, I would say that I'll take my chance with the virus and its variants, or as we said prior to this pandemic, mutations,
Mm-hmm.
Again,
why do you think that changed?
I think variant sounds more dystopic than mutation. Just like it's not a vaccine, at best it's a prophylactic preventative treatment, that mitigates symptoms.
You lost me right there.
That's scientific
A
terminology.
lot of big words there,
prophylactic
buddy.
Is, again, it's a synonym for preventative. So if you were to get the jab and then test positive, then the prognosis here is that it will mitigate symptoms. And studies show that it does, so I'm not disputing that.
I had the coronavirus.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure because I haven't gotten the antibody test, but I've never lost my sense of smell and taste until that period of time. And it was the absolute worst 3 weeks of my life. No, I'm just kidding. It really wasn't that bad at all. No. I just was chilling at home.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that I've caught it at least once over the 2 years. But
how did it go? Were you dying?
I was on my deathbed. No, I wasn't. But I didn't even get tested because to me that's playing into the whole
I had to get a test to go to work.
Right.
I had to, for them to let me go back to work.
Right.
I had to get a test.
And so I reject it wholesale. I reject the language that they use. I reject the mechanics that keep it going. Like, I may have contracted it, I may have had a runny nose for a day or two, but to me, I see it as, and this is more granular here, but it's the Thucydides trap. If you ever read up on Thucydides,
I have no idea what that is.
So the Thucydides trap is
what the
THU Thucydides.
Thucydides.
Yes, and
I
the
like
trap
that.
is
Thucydides.
Yep.
Okay.
And so
what's that?
it's a rising nation, a rising empire against a declining empire, declining nation in conflict, and the rising nation assumes global hegemony, and this one dies out. And I believe that's what America is in right now. We are in the Thucydides trap where China is rising and America is declining.
China's got, they're not microwave people. They're like,
No.
They're really long-term.
Right.
Like they got a 50-year plan. I don't think most Americans have a 10-year plan.
Or tomorrow plan.
Yeah.
You know, and the difference, I always say this, and this another provocative statement, but the difference between China and America is that China seeks to genetically enhance its population, while America seeks to genetically mutilate its population.
Where's the gain in that?
There isn't, and that's the ride we're on right now. Some would coin it the managed decline of the United States, that are politicians that are being controlled by special interests are facilitating our decline, and so China then could increase its influence over the Western world. And because the Chinese model of government is the preferred model of government to those that are controlling both sides of the globe, and they want the West to turn more like the East, because it's a neo-feudalistic system where you have just two classes of people, the ruling class and then the bottom, you know, the bottom class, no middle class. This is the eradication of the middle class, and everybody's going to be dependent on the aristocracy.
Wow.
And that's why right now we have the initiative for getting jabbed. It's all part of grooming. It's a grooming campaign to get us normalized.
Yeah, it's a sinister plan, man. I just don't want to go. I'm just very like leery of like, bro, who trusts the government? Like, I don't think there's anybody that says, "Oh, yeah, I think, yeah, I trust them.
Right.
I trust them." Nobody trusts the government.
Right.
Yeah, we want to like give them authority in so many things. Like, all right, I got a point of view. I think you're wrong. You know, let's just say on abortion, right?
Right.
So I think it should be illegal. You think it should be legal? Well, why do we have to make this a federal issue and give them power over this? That's probably not a good example, but I mean, there's just plenty of issues that like it shouldn't be a federal issue. Once we cede power to the government,
Right,
to make a law concerning a certain thing, they're never going to give that power up.
right. Yeah.
And
Name me a government that has given power to the people.
Huh?
Name me a government that has given power back to the people after it assumes it.
I mean, I don't. It's like a tumor. Like a nasty tumor.
Right.
You know, every time I go to the bank and I see the little FCID sticker, and it's like,
Yeah.
your money is guaranteed up to what? $100,000. Backed by the full faith of the United States government.
Right. Right. In 10 years, that $100,000 will get you 2 loaves of bread.
Yeah, what a joke.
Yeah.
What a joke. What kind of joke sticker is that on every teller's window?
Right. Well, it's all an illusion, right? So what happens, like, as we see, trust in the American government is decreasing every year. So what happens when it loses the threshold of trust to keep it propped up? It's going to be a house of cards. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why as aforementioned with modern monetary theory, we just keep on printing money, because, it's not backed by gold anymore. Nixon took us off the gold standard 50 years ago. So
I think centralized banking was like the turning point.
Right. Yeah. The founders did not want a central banking. Andrew Jackson hated the banks. So there were people that were against central banking for this reason. I mean, one would make the argument that World War One was for America's sake. Getting into World War One was to create the Federal Reserve, which I believe has substance, just as the income tax was to fund the war.
Where did America enter the First World War? That was with I forget who.
1917 we entered, and it was the story goes, I believe it's Germany and the submarines in the Atlantic captured some documents, and that was the pretext to enter and go against Germany.
I don't know a whole lot about World War One.
Yeah,
I know a little about World War Two.
Yeah, World War One's one of those. From like an American perspective, Woodrow Wilson was president. He ran for re-election in 1916 against getting involved in the war. The majority of the population did not want to be involved in the war. But just as it is today, the newspapers were all running propaganda to get America involved in the war. And then once that happened with the German submarines, then it manufactured a consensus amongst the population to get involved into the war. And that's been happening for hundreds of years, where the mediums of news have been used to manufacture a viewpoint and to get enough of the population to buy into it, to justify intervention. That's been happening for hundreds of years in America.
I ordered the book Propaganda by, who is it, Bernays?
Yeah, Edward Bernays.
Have you read that?
The founder or the CEO of Netflix is related to Bernays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's CEO or the founder. I believe it's the founder. Yeah, he's blood related to Bernays. In 1920s, 1930s, the big tobacco was riding the momentum after the 19th Amendment, women's suffrage, and rode that social momentum in propagandizing through their advertisements to get women to start smoking by labeling them torches of liberty, which increased the amount of women purchasing cigarettes.
Yeah, man, propaganda is crazy. So it's just like, it blows my mind how easy it is to get people to just run with what you tell them. I mean, not like individually, but like when you got influence and people really just, without vetting, they just run with it. This happens in church a lot too, man.
Right. But this is why democracy is doomed to fail. Because yes, an individual could be smart, but people are often dumb. So the logical outcome of democracy is tyranny, as Plato wrote 2,000 years ago. This is going to happen because mob mentality is going to mob mentality.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's why we're doing this, huh?
Right. And I would just say again, if from a government standpoint, if you look at the Bible, Jesus Christ is He's the authority. He's the king. That's not democracy at all.
Yeah.
And it's an authoritarian government.
But it's perfect.
But it's perfect. But it is authoritarian in structure. So if we are able to scale that and mimic it and strive to be Christ-like in that authoritarian government structure, then that is the divine government. But we're fallible,
Yeah.
We're broken and we're fallen in nature. So just like anything, we'll corrupt it and pervert it. And so that's why we have alternatives like democracy, and then placing democracy in a Republican infrastructure of government, in hopes that we are able to prohibit breakdown, as much as we can. But no system can withhold the inevitable, and that is human corruption, corrupting it. It's just is what it is.
The human corruption is the problem. I think the solution to all of this is, as individuals, we need to start taking responsibility for ourselves, for our families,
right,
for our neighborhoods, for our cities.
right.
There's really no sense of community anymore. It's all online, and how vain is that? It's all wireless connections. It's not held together.
Right.
There's no cohesion, and so we're all just scattered.
Right.
And
right, we're scattered, yet we're interconnected.
Yeah. Well, it's a fraud. It's a I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it's a simulation of community.
Right.
It's really, like The Matrix, that first one, that movie was prophetic.
Right.
It very clearly defined our times.
Right.
That was that movie is what got me to start thinking, really thinking. My dad showed it to my sister and I when I was like 9 or 10 or something. He was like, before we start this movie, the point of this movie, what is real? And that thing's been messing me up ever since then.
Right.
Because, not only does it seem like we're in a simulation as far as authoritarian control that's kind of undercover, you can't really see it, but it's all out in the open. But it's also it's so real that it's fake.
Right.
It's like so overt that it's like, this isn't real, But on a deeper level, I sense that there's a realm that exists, a supernatural realm, a spirit realm that exists that's superseding this natural realm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I think the more I see that as more real than this, it's like a transcendent viewpoint. It's like having experience that I never actually had, but I'm able to see things from outside of the box.
Right. Yeah, when you're able to look at your brother or your sister, your mother, your father, and you're looking at them dead in the eye, and you see on their backs, you see demons and you see angels, once you're able to start seeing that realm in this reality, then, as you said, that's everything.
You treat people different too.
You treat people differently. You're more empathetic because you know that there's demons also on your back as well. And they're seeking to influence your thoughts. And then those thoughts will then influence your behavior. And so that is all happening in an invisible realm. But if we are able to acknowledge that it is real and not dismiss it with as just mere superstition, or
it's hard to dismiss it. I mean,
Right.
even if I never had any spiritual experiences, which I've had enough to, I just can't deny what I've experienced, you
Right.
know? But even if I didn't have all that, I've always had a sense that there's something more real than what I'm experiencing. You
Right.
know, it's like there's something deeper. There's a meaning behind all this. There's a thread that's holding things together, and it's not of this world.
Mm-hmm. It's a sovereignty. You know, it's a sovereign will of God where you have the demons on the left side of God and you have the angels on the right side of God. And even if the demons gain the advantage, it's all under the sovereignty of God. So it's all going to be used for his good.
So is God sovereign in a way that he's in control of everything?
If he wasn't, then he wouldn't be God.
So if I smack you in the face right now, it's God's will.
Well, that's you exerting your free will, but God then can turn that into good. You know, there's a lesson
Are you
there.
sure?
There's a lesson there. Yeah, it may be painful, but
You're looking at my hands a little. You're backing up.
I'm a
Don't
little
back up.
suspicious.
Not on live TV, man. I'm not
No.
going to do that to you. But really, I mean, I think he's both, man. I think that our minds can't comprehend that level of philosophy. I think that he definitely ceded power and dominion of this physical realm to mankind. And I think that's why, you know, the law of entropy exists, because men are fallible.
Right.
And we don't like to take responsibility holding things together,
Right.
which is the nature of God, because the Logos holds all things together,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think that mankind is responsible for the evil in this world. But I think we're responsible for manifesting it. But I think that there is a wickedness in that realm that I don't know what the will and desire behind that wickedness is necessarily. Maybe it's jealousy that they were sons of God and have no privilege, have no relation, no connection.
Right.
And we do, being as low and base as the human creature is.
Yeah.
We have access, unlimited access,
Right.
to God, not even as creator or judge, but as father.
Right.
I think there's probably a little jealousy going on there.
There's a resentment there.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe that throughout the Bible you see those that are not in surrender to him, that are not being obedient, and allow that open space to be controlled by Satan and his army. The outcome is one becoming resentful, and that resentment then leads to murder. If you take it to its logical conclusion, a la Cain and Abel.
Yep, that's true.
So
that's absolutely right. I experienced that. I had a neighbor below me that was just crazy violent, and he could hear us walking all day, and I really attempted to walk on eggshells, man, honestly, and my family did too. But I have a 2-year-old, and he runs around during the day, and I'm not gonna rebuke him for running around. You know, I mean, if you pick the bottom floor of a condo, you gotta get it. You gotta get what's coming to you, you know? And this man was like, he was wild, bro. He came to my door one time with the shirt off. He got a little knife on the thing. And I'm like, please, bro. Like, I'm pissed, bro. And we had words a few times, and I definitely didn't show him Jesus a few times, but I did in other times. But at one point, the conclusion would have been death, because he's got the knife there. He came up here confronting me with a knife on his side. This is at like 1 a.m. I think my wife or me, one of us, dropped and broke a cup, you know, a glass. And so I was sweeping it up. He was enraged. But I answered the door with my strap in the back. He's got a knife. I've got a pistol. And unless we can part peacefully, this ends in death. And I don't want that. I've been attacked before to the point where I drew a pistol on somebody, and this man was begging for his life. I mean, he was all, oh, before that gun came out, but I wasn't trying to fight. I wasn't in I was not prepared for that situation. And that was my quickest recourse for protection. I mean, that's what it's there for. But to hear a man that was just showing himself out, trying to beat me up, begging for his life, was a sound I never want to hear again. And it leads to death, man. It all leads to death. But if we can see people through the eyes of spirit, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. After that, I don't know if it was, I think it was after that situation, I was in the shower and I was like, God, I'm so freaking pissed. Because like, this is my home and I can't even live in peace. And I was so pissed off, man. And it was just very frustrating, man. I mean, I couldn't even tell you the half of it, how much we went through with this guy. But I kid you not, I'm in the shower. I'm like, God, I need help because I'm infuriated right now. But I don't want to be in the position where it's my life or somebody else's. I'm like, you gotta help me. And he showed me his point of view of this man. And it was a viewpoint of compassion and love. And he was showing me into the abuse that he has sustained that turned him into the monster that he is. And bro, I bawled my eyes out. Because I'm like, how prideful can I be? How prideful can I be to think that this is about noise? And he showed me what it was, man. We're a light in our community. And they hated that. And they tested that. And I know at some points I did attempt to reconcile, but it was to no avail. But I try to show him Jesus. I try to show him love. Try to give him a gift, but if we could look at things from the perspective of spirit, we'll have so much more patience with people. It's just not like, honestly, it's so prideful to see things from a perspective of just material.
Right.
You know what time it is?
9:05.
All right. Well, I think you could hit that intro, outro. It's been real. We definitely went out there in the ethos, and it's been a pleasure to talk with you again.
Thank you, brother.
And God bless all of you out there. We'll see you next time.